Welcome to the Summit, brought to you by Harry Wizards Gaming, your one-stop shop for all things gaming. I am Captain Cup, your host, alongside with my co-host here, the Grizz. How are you doing tonight, sir?
Oh man, getting by. Not looking forward to working tomorrow.
All right. Well,
They're going too quick.
Yeah, it always does. We always seem to fly through the weekend. I just wanted to bring everybody up to speed here. I know it's been a couple weeks since we recorded last. We are changing a little bit of our format, a little bit of kind of how often we're going to push this stuff through. I think we're switching to a 2-week. Every other week we're going to come out with a new one here. A little bit more short, sweet, to the point, a little more potent. As you can see tonight, we aren't joined by anyone. I figured it'd be a good time for you guys to get to know me and Grizz a little bit. Tonight, I kind of want to touch base with some RPGs is kind of where I want to be at, whether that be tabletop or even video game. But there's a pretty big hustle and bustle with RPGs right now, wouldn't you say?
Man, it seems like there always is. It's one of the best categories or genres of games. The amount of just putting countless hours in, the reward's there too. It's
right.
When you put it all in, it gets rewarding, but then you get sad to see it come to an end.
Well, and some games do it better than others, obviously, as we know, and that feeling of accomplishment and then feeling the story start to come to that close. In some situations, a good example for me, just off the top of my head of that, just to kind of bring everybody into the fold, is I think Hogwarts Legacy did that for me. You can really feel everything kind of converge to the end point. But yeah, man, super rewarding. Storytelling at its finest in a lot of those titles.
Oh yeah.
You get that feeling. Kind of with our new format, we are going to be shortening it up a little bit. I know it's tough to listen to us yabber on for an hour and a half. So we'll keep it short, sweet. We won't have too much excess here, but kind of where we wanted to go with it is I kind of want to know where Grizz's RPG life started. We've talked about nostalgia. We've talked about games that we're stuck on or that we play so much, but we don't really talk about, that specific genre. Like, where did it start in that genre for you?
Let's take it back. I'd say probably about 2007, 2008. I was about and visiting, it's like when I visited our own sister in her new house. Ex-husband had a 360 and had Oblivion. We've talked about the Elder Scrolls on the past few episodes. Can't go wrong with it, and he ended up giving us the Xbox 360 because we got hooked on Oblivion, and we were there for a weekend, and that's where it started. Because, man, that game, even at 13, you're still not even good, great, at least not then. At least nowadays, these 13-year-olds are insane. Man, I just remember Psycho and I used to have shifts of playing the game. We'd have to go in 2-hour shifts because we both just wanted to play. And oh, dude, that game, I remember I love RPGs because I love to just take it to the basics of bow and arrow. That's my style. And I would run around in literally this reddish shirt and these plaid or these tan pants. My guy looked homeless, no armor on. That's how I ran around and fought everything. That's where I got it. That's probably where the love started, was just Elder Scrolls, period, but Oblivion specifically. If you haven't played it, I widely suggest a visit because it is so rewarding and so fun.
Well, in that whole series, the Elder Scrolls, all the way through, it's really tough to go back and play a lot of them. You've got things like, well, not even just that. It's just hard to get your hands on them. A lot of those ports didn't happen for some of the PC stuff, or it's just too old and people don't realize that. But like every game that ever was released on PC, you can, like my computer right now, there's a game I want to play so bad again. Not a role-playing game, but just to give an idea, Black and White and Black and White 2 will not run on my PC because it is just archaic technology. It's archaic coding. People have been working on ports for it, but I'm still waiting. But
I mean, I know you can still go back and visit Morrowind on Xbox.
right, yeah, and those games were more current than people realize.
Right.
Like Morrowind was on 360. Like it was, you could play it on 360. You could play it.
But it was an original.
Yeah, but they actually released, you could get a physical copy of it. But it's more recent than Arena, if you've ever heard of that. That's the first.
Nope.
Arena, and then there's a couple other ones, like Daggerfall is another one. And kind of
I want to say Morrowind was 3.
correct.
Yeah.
And then, but they're all named like Arena, and then Daggerfall, and then Morrowind, Oblivion, and then Skyrim. But
That's the crazy thing. Is they still have 4 more games to go of single.
right,
Their thing is they want to go through the 9 races, homelands. They've
Right.
gone through 5.
well, and I'm interested to see what they actually do with the new, like with this generation. Like I have no idea what they're gonna do.
For me, go back to the Skyrim format, just update.
Yeah, I'm sure that's what will happen.
Don't go to the ESO format.
I don't think they will. I think ESO as a IP is its own thing. Like they're not going to force you into that. And I think they've learned a lot from ESO.
I mean, well, I guess, even if we take it back a little, you'd count Grand Theft Auto as like a role-playing. I guess it probably would have started there.
Yeah.
Because it is kind of
It's
role-playing shooter.
right. I would agree. I mean, if you're I guess at the bare bones, if you're taking up a role,
Right,
and that's what
yeah.
you're doing.
And I remember probably Vice City might have been first, then San Andreas.
Yeah. See, I played 4, like when the first
Oh yeah.
when that
Dude, I
first
remember
new
playing it
format.
when it was Overhead on like PlayStation.
Well, and like also like
Overhead.
when GTA and Driver were still competing, you know what I mean? Like back then. But I mean, it's tough. The RPG, like where did it come from for me, is really tough because obviously everyone knows you're gonna say Zelda, and
I figured you'd say Pokemon.
well that,
Well,
but like those two are kind of tough to be like true RPG,
Right.
like what you think of, because yes, you take a role, yes, you are a character in an open-ish world in a sense. But for me, like the truest RPG is, I'm a huge JRPG fan, and I played a ton of Final Fantasy VII, a ton, and I've played every Final Fantasy. But I can remember sitting there in front of the PlayStation and just trying to figure out what the hell to do. That was my toughest part, because that was a part of my life where I played a lot of Nintendo, a lot of Mario, a lot of Pokemon, a lot of Zelda, a lot of this and stuff, and I understood the format of that style, those styles of games.
Right.
But to get into something like Final Fantasy, where it was a very much more adult, it really was compared to like the other ones. 7 was just like, not only did you just like land, it's like go for it, but you had like way less hand holding, a more brutal fighting system to where like it would just beat the hell out of you. Like it didn't stop. Like it just went for you. But that's kind of where the real RPG itch came from for me. And then obviously the games of, Elder Scrolls came, and I've played GTAs and stuff like that. But I really remember spending a lot of time sitting in front of Final Fantasy VII, and that was a lot of fun.
Man, the amount of hours I spent playing Elder Scrolls. Both Oblivion and Skyrim. Skyrim really was bad because I was in high school at the time. And by that time I've had a full grasp of a pretty full grasp of video games, and especially coming from the Oblivion to the Skyrim, the grasp there was a huge difference. It's like, okay, this game's actually not very hard.
Yeah, and
like
it's
not like I run in here and I find this monster and I run out because I know it's gonna kill me.
And like it's fun to talk about games like that, like how open they are, because you can make the game as hard as you want. Like, I mean, I remember my first playthrough of Skyrim, I ran into like the first frost troll where you're like climbing up to the top, and that thing was so tough that I just like I beat it down, and then I just spent so much time just fighting stuff and finding stuff to where like I'm never gonna fight something that felt like that again.
I don't know. The first dragon gets you a little bit.
Well, yeah, but like
But
colossal enemies are easier to deal with than something as slightly bigger than you are in that game. Like you never lose sight of the dragon, or it never like jukes to the other side. You know what I mean? Like it's very big, it's tough, and they're powerful and they get a lot of health, but I think the field of view where you can see that dragon the whole time changes that in a way. But I'm in agreement with you that, you know, it was tough. It was very, and I almost felt like it was like when you see that first dragon, you're like, finally, like, because you're talked to about, you see Alduin come in and he's cool and strong and you like running for your life, and then you're like, don't hear anything, and then all of a sudden like it's outside the doors of Whiterun. You know what I mean? You're like, oh damn. And alongside more of that, that's those feelings that those RPGs give you. Like when you beat the dragon is so rewarding, you know. When you beat your first Oblivion gate, you know, in Oblivion, you're like, oh, you know, it's like a breath of fresh air.
I really believe that game was just so much harder. I feel like Skyrim was a little more user friendly.
I think they didn't. I feel like in Oblivion, when I played it, they kind of throw you like right at it. Whereas like Skyrim, if you wanted to go off and max a level out of something, they didn't like railroad you into it, which was good.
You get to Archery 50 in the first town.
Yeah, like, and again, is there anything wrong with that? No. Did I play that way? Absolutely not. I got the hell beat out of me.
Not the first time. But I do remember my first playthrough. If you remember when they had the book glitch.
Yes.
I got to level 40 and I was like, dude, I've grinded enough. Let me be max level. I'm done with this. Like I grinded a whole lot.
Well, there's just, yeah, it's those older ones. It's cool to like think back on the way it felt when you first played, and then when you got like more accustomed to it. Like in every one of that style, like I could go back through Ocarina of Time right now, and it will never feel the way it felt the first time I played through it. And I'm plenty good at it, I promise you. When you're up here, I will show you how to do things so fast you'll make your head spin. But you know those. What's up?
Even another one that I was into was also Fallout 3 and New Vegas. I was into those ones. After those two, I wasn't really into Fallout that much. Those two I did enjoy.
They just don't fit my idea, and I think we've touched base on that, like maybe more in like personal chats. The whole like apocalypse from a bomb exploding and like the steampunky mechanical side of stuff just isn't my biggest favorite thing. And again, nothing wrong with it. They're very well done, and the lore is very good, and they do the aesthetic so well. It's just not my thing. I'm not like Micah, for example, is a huge fan of Fallout. I mean, he loves it, but not for me. And you know, and I just, while we were talking, I thought about like, if you ever played, as far as Dungeons and Dragons goes, the Baldur's Gate games, other than the most recent, there's the Dark Alliance 1 and 2. We played the shit out of them. One of my funniest gaming moments ever, and I think we might have touched on this in the nostalgia deal, but when the game like was, you know, it's some of that stuff that the programmers didn't plan for. Well, my characters, I was running at an NPC to talk to him, and my friend who we were playing couch co-op with, as I'm running over a campfire, talks to him. And what it does is the game world stays live, but they freeze the characters. So my character is standing on a fucking bonfire and burning to death, and all you hear is and then like the characters, when they died, like the other characters would react. Well, my buddy was this dwarf, and all of a sudden you hear and you hear my character die, and you hear Alavinji, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Because they're having a conversation, like a fully worded conversation, and my character died. So then we get out of there. I'm laying there dead, and all my shit's all around me or whatever. And I'm like, I died in a cutscene? You know, like, it was just crazy.
Oh,
It is just like old RPG shit where they just like
yeah.
zoomed in, like they literally didn't change the outside world. They just zoomed into the conversation. But that's one of the most hilarious situations. Is like, why does it sound like someone's dying or getting beat up? And then like, you know, the old "I'll avenge ye" comes out. But no, it's just super funny. Like one of the stupidest things that I've ever had happen to me.
I also was into Dragon Age as well.
Yeah. Also, very well done. BioWare does a great job with RPGs. We all know that from Knights of the Old Republic, which is getting a reboot. Ding dong.
Or PlayStation.
Is it PlayStation exclusive?
PlayStation exclusive, man.
I wonder what the exclusivity contract is, though, because I bet there's a time frame.
Very long.
There's no way that KOTOR is stupid
Well,
enough.
My thing is it'll probably be PlayStation exclusive, that's on PC.
Well, that's my point. Is
They probably won't share it. They're not going to share it with Xbox.
if they have the rights, but those exclusivity contracts are crazy. Depend one way or the other. It could be like a month. It could be a year. Kind of like I explained with Final Fantasy at one point, their contract was like 15 or 20 years, and then all of a sudden you saw that surge of Final Fantasy games rotate to every other platform because the contract ended. But yeah, just like Final Fantasy 16 being exclusive to the PlayStation, like that burns my balls so bad because I want to play it because it looks awesome. Like they were showing like gameplay footage and fighting footage, and it looks awesome. And it was funny because it was on a TikTok, because I swear I saw the gameplay footage and there was like no title. And I'm just like watching this fight happen, and I'm like thinking it's like a mobile, not like a mobile game, but like, you know, when they have like the ads for stuff. And I'm sitting like, man, this looks a lot like Final Fantasy. Like they totally copied this. It looks way better than any of them I've seen, but this is totally. And then all of a sudden, it's like Final Fantasy 16. I'm like, gotcha. So, kind of on that topic, what RPGs would you say you've been in most recently?
I think the last one might have been Harry Potter. I think it's been a few months.
Which is by far one of the best game releases, as not even like for Harry Potter fans, but completely done well releases in a long time.
Unfortunately, is like I hit it hard for just like 2 weeks, and then I just haven't gone back to it.
Well, and it's one of those super story-driven RPGs. It's very much,
Yeah.
this is the character, and this is how their life in Hogwarts for that year went, and which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that, but the replayability just isn't there for me. Just from what I've read, it's not different.
Right.
If you go back as a different character. There's some super basic like changes if you change your place, and there's a PlayStation exclusive mission, blah blah blah. But all in all, a very well done video game. I mean,
Yeah. No. When I was playing it, I was amazed by it.
yeah, it was. I couldn't believe that it didn't need 6 weeks of fucking updates to fix it.
Right.
You know.
Like literally, it was like day one. It was
Yeah. Yeah, and then there was a couple like crashes I had here and there, but like nothing that like turned me off to the game. You know, like just like, oh, I did this and now I'm stuck, I gotta reload. You know what I mean? Or I did this, I fell into this weird section of map and I can't get out. Whatever. You know, and kind of funnily enough, I just played an RPG-ish game, but I tried Ghostwire Tokyo yesterday.
okay.
Was it yesterday? It was either Friday. No, it's Friday. Super cool idea. Very not for me. Controls, which if I sat down and changed a lot of stuff, like I do not like the way it felt on a controller, and it's very much so built for a controller. But I would remap it differently, and it was super late, and I didn't feel like doing it, and I'd rather play it on my mouse and keyboard. But that's just me. Nothing wrong with playing on a controller by any means, but so cool. Like it was so strange because it was very brightly lit and colorful because of the different. It's like Naruto hand signs and stuff to do moves. It's super cool, and it's all like ghosts and poltergeist kind of style like enemies and whatnot, and like the undead, if you will. But very like you're in the middle of modern Tokyo and everyone's disappeared, and you have like a ghost inside your body with you, and you level up and you can add different things, and you get this spectral bow thing. Super cool. But if I was going to continue, it would take me probably a good hour of remapping the buttons to fit the way my hand works, and most of that because of Call of Duty, it's very hard to change. And I want it to feel good in my hand while I'm playing, so I'm not so focused on the way it plays, more so focused on playing. But the horror was there. Like, it made me, like,
Jump scares?
not jump scares even. It's very just creepy. Like, the first level is in a hospital. Yeah,
Creepy.
right. But like not like a gross, not in a gross way. Like it's very much a hospital that the people just disappeared out of. Like it was a working hospital, and there's like they block stuff with like spectral stuff. It's neat. It's definitely worth It's free on Game Pass, which is why I played it. It's very cool. It's interesting, but it does make you feel small. Is kind of the horror that you get from it. Like you're the only like living individual in the city. And you're like everything else wants to kill you, but it's cool. I mean, like you can go like up the back streets of Tokyo and like into shops, and like the shops are cats that are like ghost cats that are like floating there because like. But the best part is they take up shop in stores.
Yeah.
So like you walk into a store and there's this cat's like, "Come over here, buy some shit," you know, and it's very neat. It was an interesting deal. Just very creepy. Which is in a good way, because that's what it hit what it was going for.
I'd been meaning to try out that Long Dynasty.
Mm-hmm.
It supposedly plays like a Souls game. And
Right.
I just haven't gotten to that yet. And I think probably the other last RPG was probably Monster Hunter that I've touched.
Yeah. The
Just dropped Sunbreak on Xbox.
oh, they push it over.
Yep.
Nice. And then like obviously like the Souls games, man. Like Elden Ring was great because we could play together. Like that like refreshed the genre for me. Like
So those are rewarding
oh yeah.
games.
Oh yeah.
That is the most that's the most like accomplished to me that I've probably felt in RPGs is like, you know, when you're going at that one boss for so many times,
Huh.
you finally get it and you're like, oh.
Well, it's all timing and discipline and healing and knowing when to attack and learning attack patterns. Like it's good. I enjoyed it, and like having your setup and your weapon stuff work. Finally, you're like, okay, this is the way to do it, and you figure it out and it's different for everybody. And then you go on TikTok and you see every dude that's flying in the fucking game now because they've figured
Oh
out
my god, right.
like the spinning and stuff on the way down.
Yeah.
Like I'm sitting here like I remember we were just like fucking die please, and
Right.
they're just like and just melting stuff.
Shot.
Yeah.
Yep.
But and then obviously we want to touch base. I was hoping to have Game Crazy Freak here, but I was watching a little bit of Jedi Survivor,
Oh man.
which looks pretty cool.
Looks good.
Yeah.
Looks real good.
It has been getting drugged through the mud online.
The little voice actor they got in there.
Who?
He's an NPC.
Who is it?
Old Matt Mercer.
He's in there?
He's an NPC.
Nice. Did you hear that he plays Ganondorf in Zelda? The new one is Matt Mercer is Ganondorf in Zelda.
Nice.
So, but super cool. But I want to touch on Jedi Survivor. It's either A, really good, or B, really bad. I don't know yet because the internet says don't buy it. Micah, watching Game Crazy Freak play it, Dr. Jack, you know, spectacular. Looks great. Super cool. But, and if we want to touch on the topics of current RPGs, we play a lot of D&D. Like, not so much multiple nights a week, but when we play, it is hours long. And I've recently, in the last year, taken up DMing, and we've been having a lot of fun. And I do make fun of Grizz a lot.
Everybody does. I took up playing within the last year.
Yeah, it's been
and it's just I've noticed the evolvement I've had of characters just after the first one. The first one was just so basic, and now it's like, man, I want to do all these different things.
Yeah.
You know, I've gotten used to the adding flavor to stuff
Yep.
to where it makes it more interesting.
Well,
You
and
can't roll the dice, and get a hit, but that's
well, and like
I got worse over time apparently.
well, but a lot of finding out something's cool and trying to make it work. And partially, there's plenty of people that we've coached that just don't quite grasp how to play their character. You know, not to pick on you, but we've talked about, you know, what being a caster is versus being a melee character, and how you can use those casting abilities to your advantage, but not as things like that. And me evolving as a DM and hoping everyone has a lot of fun and using that some of that creativity. But yeah, you know, and really for me, trying to make that world feel like it exists, and trying to make it exciting and make that, and you know, more so I've tried to make consequences to people's actions more so than, well, you just one-shotted that guy, see you later. Whereas opposed to, like, you know, last session, Grizz fired off, you know, what's called an Eldritch Blast at some kids that were fucking around, and unfortunately, in a large city, people do see things, and guards see things, and Grizz also made another decision to become hostile. Right. And
attack, but I look scarier.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and things like that, to where I didn't have a plan for that. Like, there was...
No, I honestly, I kind of thought I was going to die, and I was like, well, this is my own fault, and I'm okay with it. But I had to play to my character. I couldn't back down. I had to play to the fact that I made my character of evil nature. I had to play to that.
Oh yeah, and that's great, and that's what you should do.
See, and everybody else is like, just stop. Like, you're gonna get yourself killed. And it's like, look, I gotta play to the way I made my character. My character does not give a fuck about anything. I got 4 guards standing around me, and they're trying to fucking, like, do whatever they're gonna do. Well,
yeah,
I gotta play to my character's nature.
Well, and just like
technically, so I guess that's what we're doing.
Well, and the best part is, as that whole situation ground around, is I was trying to, like, I'm sitting here like, okay, these guards are, you know, what are they going to do? Why would they be dragging him to this instead of a jail? And, you know, just trying to figure that out. Also trying to keep you on path to what you're trying to do, as well as add some flavor and some consequence to your actions.
Look,
Well, and like, but even the sense of, like, I didn't want to just make it to where, like, you had no choice. You know, this is what's happening. Like, Adelaide did some cool shit, so I let it happen. You know what I mean?
I think, like, a little bit more damage on that stuff, I was vaporized. That was almost double my health. I would have been...
Well, yeah, if you would have been... Technically, it was a disintegrate, so if you dropped to 0, you should have disappeared. But also... It wasn't like a disintegrate spell. It was more so a disintegrate enchanted sword. So you got to play with that too. And I'm not going to let some of that stuff kill you that you didn't necessarily deserve as well. And also, we had just spent...
Back, you probably would have let it happen.
Yeah, like stuff like that. But like also, like, we just had spent 2 weeks building cool shit. And I'm like, nope. If you stupid fucker, like, it's gonna break some hearts.
You were like, oh my god, idiot's really doing that. But I just had to play to my character.
Well, and like the other part is like, you're fighting an enemy. Like, yes, I'm in control, and yes, I have to make decisions, but I can't just be like, he didn't attack because he didn't want to. Like, that character would have swung at you, and I don't make the rolls. Like, those are completely random. Like, if they hit, they fucking hit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So.
No, and that was the thing. I wasn't gonna be mad. Whatever happened.
Yeah. Well, like,
I knew what I was doing. There was gonna be some consequence, but I also knew, like, I literally just had to be my character.
Right. Well, and even like
what my character would have done.
Well, like, even like the night I knocked Demovan down, like, I felt really bad because I was like, if this doesn't turn out right, everyone that it is going to die. And so luckily you guys turned it around and made it happen. But like, I realistically, Holden was the target of that monster for reasons you'll find out someday.
Mm-hmm.
But like Elf, Bertha was almost dead. Like she was close to death. Demovan went down. But like he's like, why wouldn't you killed me? If I was that creature, I would have killed me. I'm like, but realistically, there's 7 other people that were standing up, or I should say at that point 6 other people standing up.
Right.
A creature is not going to go after a non-threat. It's going to continue to take out the threats and then come back to eat. You know what I mean? So just cool shit like that. But kind of.
I've been loving it. So, I mean, and you're doing fantastic.
It is a lot of work. I'll tell you that. It is. Oh, no, you wouldn't believe. Like, I mean, the book does a lot for you, but like, you've gotta like as a DM. Me finding this out, there's so much I need to say and get out there so you kind of know, and you find that out through questions. Like people ask stuff, but you know, going back to like there's so much I need to say and want to say, but there's also open-minded people trying to be like, what about this, and there's stuff that I don't think of that works in my head that doesn't. And we've had those conversations where like, why is it that way, and I'm like, because it's that way, like, you know, in situations where,
right.
Like our double damage stuff, we talked about it and our different effects and things like that. And I foresee there being some questions with the weaponry that you just received as well, because there's a lot of cool shit that can happen. Like you saw Psycho go nuts with that dagger first shot, and
Dude.
Pretty cool.
Let's just take a brief second. That was perfect. I believe, like, I don't even know. But I believe that was the 100% perfect way that should be used. Right.
That was the intended purpose of the dagger. Yeah. So basically, that dagger is throw the dagger and make contact, and at its highest level, teleport. And he could just teleport and stay. You know what I mean? But at its final level, it's pushing that Rasengan into that character as like an above to like kaboom and just do the damage. But yes, he read that and used it exactly how I intended it to be used, and it was cool.
That was awesome.
And all of those weapons have cool combos.
Yeah, I can't wait.
You know, like there's cool combos that can be made.
I can't wait. Because mine, I can hit multiple people. And
right.
That I'm about.
Well, and you know, the benefit of them being magical attacks but not spells and things like that, so they can't be counterspelled, for example.
Yeah.
Which plays to your advantage against, you know, people like when you fought Nero. I let you guys do things, and you realize that the funny part about it was, and obviously that was a shitty night for everybody, but I wanted you to feel that. Like, I wanted everybody to feel that, because there was a lot of walking into fights and not having any care, you know, and just fighting, where you walked into that fight and you smoked a Tomb Tapper, which is an incredibly hard monster to kill, and you obviously reap the benefits from it. But showing you what someone that you may or could run into that just is vastly more powerful than you feels like Smiley was letting you guys hit him, you know that? Like, every attack you did, he could have made you re-roll for, he could have stopped, and he could have done maybe not much more damage in a different situation he could have, but like me, I had the opportunity. That first turn I took as Nero, I could have one-shotted all of you with the highest level chain lightning spell that I have. I could hit every one of you for all of your HP at once, and that would have ended it. But that wouldn't have been fun, and we wanted to play a little bit, so we did. But
when we first like showed up and we could see the pieces on the board, and it was for the people that were at the last campaign.
Yeah.
We saw our old characters, and I was like, oh shit.
Well, and that was like part of that was like I wanted you guys to
feel something.
Well, feel something, have that kind of reaction, but also like for some people that really felt like those characters were lost, they're still around. Like, I wanted people to be like, okay, those people still exist, and they may still exist later on. Who knows? You know what I mean?
My character was not around, but
that was more to talk. That was more to poke fun at you.
Oh, I know.
But
which is fine.
But like, to give that living, breathing, you know, you were teleported to another universe or dimension or wherever have you, which you may find out someday. But, you know, for the people that played in Exandria, you know, that were like, holy shit. And then for the people that played in that campaign with Nero and won, to realize, like, to have that sunken gut feeling of like, fuck, you know?
Right.
So just trying to make you feel a little bit.
Yeah, I was like, oh, we're gonna have to fight them. And I instantly, my first thought was your old character. Oh, we gotta go for Dante first. I know for a fact he's the strongest one there.
Yeah,
I was like, he's got to be the first to go.
Well, and there was a lot to deal with there. I wanted to world build a little bit with Nero. I wanted to invoke that feeling of Sylar betrayed them, you know, because that's Smiley's old character, but he was clearly on the other team, you know, and stuff like that. But that'll come. And watch the Harry Wizard streams if you want to see more about that story, because that all will evolve and that all will change. And there is a lot coming. Because I've told you guys already that story that you're in ends at level 9, but we ain't stopping, boy.
Right.
So there'll be a lot of that, but
trust me. I mean, just in case anything happens with my character, I got my backup plan.
So let's continue on to, we've done past, we've done present. Give me one or two that you're looking forward to in the future.
Honestly, even with no release date, the next RPG I feel like I could get into, besides when Elder Scrolls 6 comes, will probably be the next Fable. When that eventually comes, that is something I can see myself getting into. I might pick up the Jedi Survivor, I don't know. But I'm like, and I can wait on that because I still have to go back and play the first one, Fallen Order. Because I played a little bit of it, and it feels very like Assassin's Creed, like with puzzles and stuff like that. But also, it's, you know, a Star Wars thing, and being a huge Star Wars fan, that it's something I should have actually committed the time to, and I just never did.
Yeah, and I played quite a bit of the first one.
I played a little.
Well, and like I felt like a lot, but not a lot. You know, now that I think about it, because I got to where, you know, you get on the ship and you start moving on, and you get like the training done and all that stuff, and then you get on to that first like meditation spot, and you're in that. I don't really remember a ton of it, but like I get there and like that's where it fades for me. But
I think I got like 3 worlds or so. I'd been a handful of places, and now they brought it to be. Which the thing is, I loved the Force Unleashed games.
Right.
And they were out, and those. I mean, I feel like these are just they're just a better version of those. And
yeah.
They were never something I committed. I think I probably liked the fact that I was on the other side of it a little bit more. I wasn't the good guy.
Right, and I think the Force Unleashed were more hack and slash, very, very arcade hack and slash, be strong as hell, and the Jedi.
I feel like there was a lot more fighting and less exploration.
Well, and
realistically, it was more driven to do that specific thing.
Right. Well, and I think these Jedi games are very much more Souls-like in a way. They're very particular. The fighting is very intricate, and there's exploration, finding stuff, and
there's no just I'm gonna all-out attack on this boss.
Well, and it makes more sense in the story, where like in the Force Unleashed, he is a bad motherfucker. Like he is a strong, bad son of a bitch, and
bring out a Star Destroyer just because.
Well, and I'm just saying, like in general, like he is in those stories so strong, and that's who he was. Whereas Jedi Survivor and Cal is a up and comer. Like he is a slave that becomes a Jedi. Like he's very on the story, very Anakin. In a way of like was nothing it becomes something, not necessarily like Anakin, but like in that way he was just a slave or just a lowly peon that starts to rise to their inevitable destiny.
I mean, the lore of Force Unleashed was Darth Vader kills his dad, and he recognizes his Force abilities, and he's like, I'm gonna take him and train him.
Right.
That's how Starkiller becomes that badass dude.
Well, I get that.
Trained by the badass.
Right, and I get that, but like it almost seems like the inherent ability in
It's
Star
less.
Killer is more.
Or was more. Oh,
Yeah,
yes.
than the struggle to become that, as opposed to the inherent ability that
Yeah,
Star Killer
I mean,
is.
The only person we've seen take down a Star Destroyer, besides Star Killer, is just Darth Vader.
Right.
He does it with one hand,
Yeah.
which is a lot cooler. The Star Killer too, but
Yeah.
still
But-
cool. 'cause
but,
it's
like-
very,
Yeah.
very strong.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's just two very different stories and two very different video games, which is obviously why
yeah.
the stories are so different, but very well done. But yeah, definitely cool. And on the Star Wars thing, I'm really looking forward to hoping Knights of the Old Republic's reboot
Oh, same.
is playable for me. I mean,
And that's my
so
thing
good.
is, I'm not, because I mean, you know this. I'm neither Jedi nor Sith. You know how I roll. You know I'm about that bounty hunter stuff.
yeah.
You know I'm all about Mandalore.
Yeah.
So,
And it's cool that you can make those choices in those games. So like I hope that is passed on to these new ones.
I tried to play Knights of the Old Republic on my PC when I first got the PC. I couldn't do it, man.
It's archaic. It is. It's very old.
That's what it was, and I was just like, I can't do this, man. Like,
It was
I need something
mind
for me.
yeah, it was mind blowing at the time, but it just isn't that way. And
Right.
it's very much that way with a lot of stuff. And I guess very, very soon to be out will be, be Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom.
That's what I was thinking.
I mean, Elder Scrolls, that, but
I figured you'd say Diablo as well.
well, yeah, Diablo, yeah, but more so recent. I'll be streaming the shit out of a Zelda and Diablo, but Zelda, next week, the 12th.
Really?
Yeah, it's the 12th. It's next Friday. So
I didn't know that.
I plan to do every bit of my gameplay on stream, whether you're watching in Discord, hanging out, or on the Captain Cup streams. But very excited with what that will bring, lore-wise, gameplay-wise. Really, a lot of different cool stuff. I'm really interested to see if they, from the talks, it sounds like this could be the last game in the series as far as lore, and the first game in the series as far as lore. Because Breath of the Wild technically takes place after everything,
Right.
and Skyward Sword takes place at the start. This game has elements of it being right after Breath of the Wild ends, but it also has the sky stuff from Skyward Sword. So what people are prospecting, because the logo is a dragon that's eating its own tail, which is very much so like an Ouroboros, which is the start is the beginning, the end is the beginning. Which, if they make it to where this is where all of Hyrule flees to the sky, that's the story of Skyward Sword, and it being directly after Breath of the Wild would give it the big circle. So there is a lot of that. There's a lot of speculation that it could
So what
be.
does that do as far as Link?
Holy shit! Micah just decided to show up right in the middle of the podcast.
What's up?
We're gonna question that boy. But no, because the idea of Link is that what happens with Link is that his bloodline or soul line or however you want to call it is cursed to be part of that stuff. And Zelda's bloodline's cursed, and so is Ganon's. But there's a lot of speculation that this will have answers. That's the problem, is nobody knows what the story's going to be. But there's speculation that Ganondorf will be on your side. So there's a lot of that there. But yeah, as we get close to finishing up here, let's barrage Micah with his past, current, and future, and then we'll wrap things up here for the first of many new podcast stuff to come. Micah, we're talking RPGs today, aka Dr. Jack on the Discord. What would you say that first RPG was for you?
Damn.
I don't necessarily. We're talking more about what turned you.
What gave you the itch?
Yeah.
Gave you that itch.
Not necessarily like, did you play Final Fantasy 1 on the NES or some shit like that? Like, what was the turning point to where
Probably Final Fantasy on the old school PlayStation. I think it was 7.
Yep.
Yeah. Good. Yeah, we did touch base on that. I mentioned to Grizz that was, other than Zelda and Pokemon being RPGs in a way, that was the very first like RPG specific style game that I played and
Yeah,
put
I
a lot
got
of time
real
into.
that. Yeah.
And I bet you if I asked you your current game, we're going to talk about Jedi Survivor,
Yeah, I'm playing it right now.
which we touched some bases on there. What about in the future? What's coming out that you're excited about? I touched base on the new Zelda, which is next week, and then then the obviously Diablo coming out is a big one for me.
RPGs, Starfield seems like it's gonna.
Oh
be,
yeah, I didn't even think about it.
yeah.
Bethesda's
Bethesda's
Starfield.
always a good studio to play
Yeah.
RPG through.
What is that one? I don't know anything about.
So that's their like new IP. They've been talking about it for a long time. Like, but it's not Fallout. It's not Elder Scrolls. It's not anything they've ever done. It's very futuristic, like more of a, from what it looks like, just like the pictures and stuff I've seen, very BioWare-y future kind of style stuff, if you will. Like the whole like
Okay.
Mass Effect like time frame.
Yeah. Okay.
But
I'm gonna.
I've been like really staying away from looking at that game because it is a new IP.
Well, I mean that, but they haven't even put out a whole lot of like trailer or any footage, really.
Well, and that's
from
like,
what I've seen.
well, and that's like what I'm saying. Like, I don't even know that. Like, I've just wish list, move on, forget about it till it shows up, you know.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I think, yeah, that, I mean, it looks cool. I mean, like, I like the whole like super in the future stuff too, and more Bethesda style. Man, that it could be insane. You know, it could be like,
I mean, if
it's,
somebody's gonna nail a new RPG, it's probably them.
yeah, or it will be a wonderfully buggy mess that everybody loves because it's Bethesda.
It's not a bug; it's a feature.
Yeah, it's not a bug, it's a feature.
But Knights of the Old Republic remake is going to be hopefully really good. I love that game.
Yeah, but we were talking about that. They are on PlayStation specifically, from what
Yeah.
information's out there.
I guess I'm just gonna have to buy a PS5.
That makes me want to puke a little bit.
No,
Me too, but I mean,
it's Knights of the Old Republic. You kind of have to.
Well, but that's the thing too. Is it's Knights of the Old Republic. They have to not be stuck to one console. There's no way that that's the contract they signed. Like, they've got to be like, oh, for the first 6 months it'll be exclusive, and then we'll port it. You know,
What studio is it through?
Knights of the Old Republic. I
Yeah,
don't know who's. I mean, I want to say BioWare was who it should be, but I don't know that. Let's take a gander while we're
yep,
here.
it is. It is a BioWare.
It is a bio, yeah. But
Yep.
it's fucking PlayStation.
Oh! I was wrong.
You were?
Knights of the Old Republics will be remake for
Ah.
PS5 and PC exclusive at launch.
oh, shit.
Thank God. Thank goodness.
Though I mean, on the real, if it was just PlayStation only, I'd go buy a PS5 just for that game.
Yeah.
Look, hey, I'm just looking at this. The Elder Scrolls 6. Hold on. Becoming Xbox exclusive.
Yeah, that's been their plan the whole time. You know, when they, because dude, I don't know if you guys heard, but the whole court thing when people were trying to stop the Activision Blizzard acquisition fell through. So they were back on track, and then there's another lawsuit put out to try and stop it. And I'm really interested to see what happens. I don't know if anything's changed with that because I, again, don't keep up with it. But they were basically, apparently, from what it sounded like, is they went into court and there just wasn't enough like people backing the acquisition stop for it to go through, so they like dismissed it. But now Sony stepped up and said, we'll play ball with you guys, and so we'll see what happens. But anyway, I think that will be about it for us this week. Other than that, just keep on gaming. You know, we gotta, hopefully some cool stuff comes out, or release dates and things like that. But I do want to take this second to thank the Grizz for coming to. Micah showing up late, giving a couple opinions there. But thank you for making your way to the top here to hang out with us at the summit. Please make your way down safely as we close the doors here for this week. And again, don't forget, we will see you 2 weeks from now. So not next week, but the following week for the next episode. Thank you so much for coming from all of us here at Harry Wizards Gaming, and we'll see you later.